Hi there, Frank here for premium members for the trading day of April 22nd, 2026, a Wednesday. Let's continue our journey tonight, and just a little background information. The past premium archives and also the user guides and all the other videos that you can find, everything you need is available for you on our website. Let's go into the charts here, and what you see here is obvious for us here. This is the first consolidation or the first pullback after the breakout. Our default expectation is further upside. The only counter indication, as I'm sure everybody knows, that we are at all-time high 7,200. We've never been up here, and the international situation is quite volatile, so who knows what's going to happen here. In this situation, if you do want to go long on the breakout, maybe you can use 1/3 position or a half, reduce your position, therefore you reduce your risk, and that's how you can handle the increased uncertainty. If you like this type of content, I encourage you to check out our premium membership, especially the annual premium membership, which includes all our services as well as all our software. If you just want to purchase our software, you can do so in the shop as well. In either case, we hope to have you on board soon as we build our community of traders dedicated to trading excellence. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon. Also, let me mention that the YM is lagging a little bit, so if you do want to aim for a previous high, probably this is our best bet here, you see? So this previous consolidation is behind us, and now we can expect that YM will retest the previous high, which is around 50,500. One way or the other, we expect that this level will be tested. Okay, let's move on to, as you can see from Market Scanner Pro, you can see the long setups on the 4-hour time frame. Let's look at the euro, which is not giving us right now a setup, but I do remember from my work that we do have a setup on the daily time frame. Look at this beautiful bull flag on the daily time frame with an obvious target area before. I had a question, what information do we need to do these trades successfully? Well, obviously, we need to know the entry area, right? And then we need to know our stop. And we also need to know when we're going to get out, because we're not going to be in the trade forever. And this is exactly what we're giving you here. This is the entry, the stop, and the target area. That's all. The only thing you need to know yourself, because nobody else knows that, is the size. 1 contract, 50 contracts, 1 micro, 20 micros, ETFs. You're the only person who knows that. So I'm not even going into sizing in any of these videos, because sizing is different for all of us. Hi, also, if you like this content, please hit the like button. Also, subscribe to our channel. And if you know someone who might benefit from this information, then please share this video. This is how you can help us to bring this content to as many traders as possible. Thank you for your help. We'll see you soon, and until then, mindful trading. Let's continue the work here. Australian dollar is worth a look. It has tested the previous high, so perhaps this move is already gone and behind us, but as you can see, we are in a bullish hot zone here. The blue background indicates that we are in a bullish hot zone, and probably we're going to move further up. Okay, 6B looked good. Let's have a look. On 6B, we have a previous target area. I always like that. So in these kind of situations, I always prefer trading a market which has a previous high, because that tends to work like a magnet for the market. So the 6B looks really good for a long trade. When do you want to go long? Well, that's really up to you. If you trade the daily chart, I would wait for a algorithmic trading signal, or perhaps use this area here, the break of this top tail, for an entry. We still have a little bit of room to go from there. In that case, the trade would look something like this. Okay, let's move on. Nothing for me today on gold and silver. They sold off a little bit today. I wouldn't worry too much if you're bullish on this market, but And if you're not long, perhaps you can watch this level to break before you think of doing anything on these markets. Right now, there's nothing to do. We're just standing by to see what comes of this, and the same also on SI. Now, the reason I'm not really tragically bearish on these markets, there's a couple of reasons. One of them is if we look at PA and PL, they continue to be bullish. And of course, there's many other factors in the world out there, but I'm just mentioning that this is a bullish hot zone. PA looks good for a long trade. Actually, if you're long on this, I think you're in a potential measured move to the upside, which means you might be in a good trade. If you're not long yet, you can use a area to consider as an entry area, the area of doing business on this chart around this level here on the daily chart. If we look at the platinum, that is bullish as well. Very much the same situation. Let me mention again, because we haven't mentioned it for weeks and weeks, but before that we mentioned all the time one major difference between PA and PL. So on palladium, there's a previous high that might work as a magnet for us. Okay, you can see it now on the weekly chart around 3,400. That's where we're heading, 3,000 roughly. So price can easily double in the coming weeks and months. So worth looking at palladium. Okay, also good ETFs are available if you're interested. Let's look at agriculturals. We're looking at three markets: corn, soybeans, and wheat. Let's start with corn. Beautiful trigger here on the 4-hour chart coming out of a hot zone, always a good sign. We've been triggered into a long. We want to take this to the 1-hour 470-ish area on the 4-hour chart. And soybeans is next. Remember, we've been waiting for this trade for about 2 weeks. Patience pays off. The 4-hour looks good. And we are now triggered into a long trade. All we want to do is to take it to 12:30 or so, just for a 1 hour on the daily chart. Let's see if we can do that. And wheat is triggering to the upside after some quiet days here. Look at this, the 4-hour chart. We don't have the algorithmic signal yet. You might want to wait for that, but this area, this is a classic bull flag, deserves our attention, and judging from the very strong momentum, I think we can break to the upside a little bit and maybe test 330 or so as a minimum. I'm saying it's a minimum because the weekly, there's much more potential on the weekly, at least back to 700 for a measured move here. So it's worth paying attention to wheat as well. Pretty good selection of opportunities. Our job is to figure out how to benefit from these opportunities, as we discussed in a previous video. One thing is to be very good at analyzing markets, which is what I'm doing in these videos. Of course, another skill is to be able to, or to find a way to benefit from this information. This is something that each of us needs to work on. Of course, capital is required, but many other things are required too. Focus, discipline, mental preparedness, software skills, dedication. Doesn't come free, but it's worth the effort. Back in the morning. Until then, mindful trading.